Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94 here, back with another reaction video. Today we're going to react to how a 14-year-old girl started the first rap beat. Obviously, it's Roxanne Shante. Shout out to the legend that she is. You know what I'm saying? She doing her thing. I watched her Netflix biopic. That shit was pretty dope. It was sad, but pretty dope at the same time. But yo, without further ado, let's get right into it.
Rap beef has been a staple in hip-hop culture for decades. When two or more rappers publicly diss each other through lyrics and interviews, often leading to a back-and-forth exchange of words on tracks. It's like a verbal fight with rhymes instead of punches, although sometimes it does end up leading to violence. Rap beefs can be entertaining for fans as long as they bring out the competitive spirit in artists and can result in some of their best work.
Facts.
But they can also escalate into real-life conflicts and even violence. Think of the legendary East Coast-West Coast beef in the 90s that ultimately led to the deaths of Tupac and Notorious B.I.G. But not all rap beefs have such dire consequences, and more have been resolved peacefully, such as the beef between Jay-Z and Nas. From its roots in underground battles to its role in shaping the careers of some of the biggest names in hip-hop, rap beefs are an integral part of the culture. Rap beefs used to be about showing off your lyrical prowess over beats, but as time passed, its origins of leaving it all on wax were forgotten. Instead, social media platforms are now taking their place as the primary forum for the back and forth. The rap beef's origin story, however, is just as fascinating as the Twitter storms you scroll through today. In the 80s, rap was just another male-dominated music genre. But then, a 14-year-old girl from the Queensbridge housing projects changed that forever. The first lady of rap, Lolita Shante Gooden, better known as Roxanne Shante, was born and raised in the Queensbridge projects, the largest public housing complex in North America and one of the hubs of hip-hop culture. She started rapping at the age of 9, and at the age of 10, she earned $50 by winning a local rap battle contest. She started developing her abilities by taking on much older male opponents on street corners and eliminating them with her wit and razor-sharp tongue. However, doing the laundry changed everything, and the story goes like this. The Brooklyn hip-hop group UTFO released the hit single Roxanne Roxanne in 1984. In the song, Roxanne is harassed by the group's members as they take turns catcalling her and boasting about their rapping skills, until Roxanne finally agrees to go on a date with them. That same year, 14-year-old Roxanne Shante left her home and was on her way to do the laundry when she bumped into her neighbor Marlon Williams, a hip-hop producer under the name Marley Marl. He heard that she was a great rapper and asked her to record a few verses for a new track he was making using the beats from Roxanne Roxanne. But Shante was in a hurry and wanted to know what was in it for her. Since Marl worked at the Sergio Galante jean factory, she asked for a pair of jeans in exchange. He agreed. She recorded the verses off the top of her head and finished the laundry. The track was called Roxanne's Revenge, and for more than 4 minutes of rhymes dissing UTFO, Shante was laying out the reasons Roxanne wouldn't go out with them. His name is Kango and that is cute. He ain't got no money and he ain't got the loot. And every time that I see him, he's always a begging. And all the other girls that he's always trying to leg it. Shante and Marl released the song, and it was a radio hit. It immediately sold 5,000 copies. However, after receiving a cease and desist letter from UTFO regarding the song's unauthorized sample, Marley Marl re-recorded the song with a new beat, creating the first hip-hop beef. It went on to sell over 250,000 copies in New York alone. Still, Shante didn't get the promised jeans. After being publicly mocked by a teen girl, UTFO decided to respond with another response song titled The Real Roxanne. From there, the so-called Roxanne Wars ignited, spurring at least 100 responses, including some nasty and ludicrous raps, including Sparky's Turn, The Parents of Roxanne, and Roxanne's a Man. Together with Antonio Big Daddy Kane, Hardy, Biz Markie, MC Shan, and Cool G Rap, Shante became a member of the Juice Crew. She began to tour with the group, and in 1985, with Sparky D, she released Round 1 Roxanne Shante vs. Sparky D on Spin Records. In 1985, the hip-hop community was still new, with artists trying to establish themselves in the industry. Many people thought that hip-hop would be a passing trend, just like disco. But despite the challenges, hip-hop continued to grow, and that's where Roxanne Shante comes in. She had her eyes set on winning the battle for world supremacy at the New Music Seminar, an industry networking event that basically crowned the king or queen of hip-hop. Shantae was the youngest and only female participant, but she was a prolific freestyler and felt she had the edge over her opponents. In the final round, Shantae faced Busy Bee, a popular party rocker MC. The judges were supposed to score the battle based on creativity, uniqueness, and skill, but unfortunately, one of the judges, Curtis Blow, intentionally sabotaged Shantae's performance by giving her a low score. This was a turning point for Shantae, as she realized that hip-hop wasn't just about being the best, but also playing politics. However, years later, Curtis explained to her why he did what he did.
He said, listen, at the time hip-hop was brand new. Hip-hop was just starting to be accepted. And as far as a true genre of music, hip-hop is finally starting to go mainstream. Major labels are starting to finally give us deals, and they're finally starting to take us serious. And there was just no way that they were going to continue to take hip-hop serious if the best in the world was a 15-year-old girl. They were not going to do that, Shantae.
Shantae, the lone female member of Marley Marl's Juice Crew, was soon drawn into the Bridge Wars, a legendary hip-hop beef between Queensbridge and the South Bronx. She dissed KRS-One on Have a Nice Day in 1987. In that same year, KRS-One directly addressed the issue in The Bridge Is Over, in a somewhat more obscene manner.
Pick any D for the flavor that you savor. Mr. Magic might wish to come and try to save you, but instead of helping you out, he wants the same thing I gave you. I finally figured it out. Magic Mouth is used for sucking. Roxanne Shantae is only good for steady effing.
Even though her popularity was skyrocketing, Shantae didn't see herself as a star.
Well, honestly, I never took it as being a star or anything, I think, because it was not financially compensating. So I didn't really see it. And I guess because at the time, you always considered stars to be these people who live in these big homes, and they live somewhere, and they're wealthy, and they're rich.
Through the second half of the 80s, Shantae performed extensively on tour and released a number of singles, most notably Go On Girl in 1988, Independent Woman in 1990, and Big Mama in 1992, on which she decided to beef with other female rappers such as Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, and Monie Love, emphasizing how she created the rap beef and her natural tendency for doing so. Roxanne eventually dropped the name entirely and started going by Shantae to move past the Roxanne saga. She put out 2 more records, Bad Sister in 1989 and The Bee Is Back in 1992. Her empowering song, Brothers Ain't Ish, which denounced sleazy guys and catcallers, served as inspiration for Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, Pose Ain't Ish. She retired from the recording industry at the ripe age of 25 and moved back to Jersey to pursue a college education. The New York Daily News published an interview with Shantae in 2009 in which she seemed to claim that Warner Music had reluctantly agreed to pay for her education after finding out that the record label was required to do so by a clause in her record contract. According to the article, Shantae earned a PhD in psychology from Cornell University and an undergraduate degree from Marymount Manhattan College. However, according to an investigation by Slate writer Ben Scheffner, neither of the educational institutions had any records of awarding Shantae these degrees. In 2009, she apologized for lying about her degrees.
Without going into all of the details as of right now, I'd like to apologize that this story regarding my post-recording career has caused such a ruckus. The entire story will be revealed at a later time. Throughout my career and life, I've been faced with many challenges, both professionally and personally. Like all of you, I'm human and may have not made the correct decision all the time. And like anyone else, I would like to think that my entire life or career is not judged by one error or mistake.
Speaking of her challenges, Roxanne Shantae didn't have an easy childhood. She grew up with 4 sisters. At the age of 12, she was placed in several group homes and had to endure being moved from one to another until she was 14. Despite these hardships, she was still able to find a sense of belonging at her last group home, the Hageman Girls Group Home. The friendships formed there created some of the strongest and most lasting bonds of her life. And even to this day, she cherishes the relationships formed during her time there and speaks highly of the positive impact the group home had on her life. She had a baby at the age of 15. Despite this early challenge in her life, she strived and took her son with her on tours. The crew made sure to create a child-friendly environment for her son, and Shantae decided not to engage in harmful behaviors like smoking and drinking or attending after parties. She says the decisions she made for her son probably saved her life.
He literally, I would say, saved my life as far as I'm concerned, because I watched so many fall at the wayside. Like Roxanne Shantae, I couldn't drink because I have a baby, so I have to take care of him.
Sadly, she experienced domestic abuse because the baby's father resented her for her growing popularity, and at one point the abuse was so severe that she was hospitalized. Her entire life story inspired the creation of a movie. It was 2016 and she was making a living in part by DJing and hosting events. Then one night while doing so in Philadelphia, two women started waving at her from the booth and asking if they could come talk to her. She was approached by two of them, Mimi Valdez and Nina Yang Monjovi, the producers of Fruitvale Station and Dope, who said they wanted to make a film about her life. Biopic Roxanne Roxanne debuted at the Sundance Film Festival in 2017, and the cast of the film wasn't a joke. Oscar-winning actor Mahershala Ali plays her abusive, much older manager and boyfriend, alongside Nia Long as Shantae's mother, and Shantae Adams, a newcomer who plays Roxanne. A new feature film from Netflix, co-produced by Pharrell Williams, focuses on her teenage years as she enters a brand new cultural era. And in the era of Me Too and Time's Up, it's also a story about a young black woman fighting to make a creative statement in an exploitative, male-dominated music industry and in a society that rarely valued people like her. Shantae may not be as busy making records as she once was when she was just a teenager, but she's relatively active in her local community. Along with her husband, she runs Mind Over Matter, which is a foundation that supports young girls between the ages of 13 and 18 who are at risk of dropping out of school. And despite retiring from the music industry, she continues to make occasional appearances and is extremely happy to share her turbulent life with the world if it helps others. Her influence on the hip-hop genre cannot be overstated, despite the fact that it's very severely understated, as she paved the way for countless female artists to follow in her footsteps and was the original hip-hop beef.
Make sure to subscribe for more.
Alrighty. So that's just gonna about do it for this one. I'll see you all the next video. Till then, peace out.